Here now is Stone Phillips.
Earlier this year, we brought you the story of a young couple accused of child abuse. With all its twists and turns, charges and countercharges, it proved to be one of the most controversial reports we've ever done. Well, now the story of baby Gregory has taken a new turn. Tonight, Chris Hansen with another look at one family's long and bitter fight to stay together.
Last March, the congregation at this Atlanta church gave its support and its contributions to a couple who seemed to have it all. Cheryl Bryant Bruce is a doctor, a resident at Morehouse School of Medicine. Her husband, Greg, is a former Army helicopter pilot, a decorated veteran of the Gulf War. But for 19 months, the Bryant Bruces have been living under a shadow of suspicion and doubt, living under an accusation of child abuse, and living without their terminally ill child who was taken away.
They took my child from me during a time in his life when I could have loved him, enjoyed him, and created the memories that would sustain me when he's gone.
He's a big boy now.
Baby Gregory was born June 10th, 1993, more than 2 months premature at a military hospital in Ohio. It was an emergency delivery, and the baby appeared very sick.
From interacting with the physicians, it was evident that he had problems, and initially they thought he had a faulty or defective heart, and then they very quickly went to, well, he's got some liver problems.
In July of 1993, he was transferred to Vanderbilt Children's Hospital in Nashville, near where his parents then lived. This is where concerns about the baby's well-being were first raised. A hospital document filed in a Tennessee court shows that doctors at that time diagnosed the 3-month-old baby with failure to thrive, and it questioned why Cheryl Bryant Bruce, a physician, did not recognize her baby's, quote, severely malnourished state.
How can they say there was some sort of neglect when they were following this baby on a weekly basis? His weight was being followed on a weekly basis.
Dr. Bryant Bruce claims that allegations about her treatment of baby Gregory stemmed from her questioning of physicians at Vanderbilt.
That's a challenge for them. How dare this young black woman come and question us?
Vanderbilt officials say they cannot comment about the case at all because of strict confidentiality laws. But some of the Vanderbilt doctors involved told Dateline that the racial allegations by Dr. Bryant Bruce are totally false. On December 6, 1993, baby Gregory was almost 6 months old. His parents say that night he fell off a bed as Dr. Bryant Bruce was about to diaper him.
The next day, Dr. Cheryl Bryant Bruce brought baby Gregory back here to Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. According to doctor's testimony, a CAT scan showed a large bruise and hemorrhage within the baby's brain. Other doctors say they found bleeding and scarring inside the baby's eyes, injuries consistent with shaken baby syndrome. Doctors believed Gregory had been physically abused.
The medical evidence from the doctors at Vanderbilt was brought to the Tennessee Department of Human Services. Charles Wilson is director of Family Services.
This is an extraordinarily serious form of child maltreatment. It can cause death, it can cause brain damage, it can cause all sorts of serious long-term complications for children.
And then, on December 23rd, 1993, a court order transferred custody of baby Gregory from the family to the state of Tennessee. The Bryant Bruces say they were shocked.
I would have sense enough if I were doing horrendous things to my child, or if my husband was doing horrendous things to my child, not to parade him up under other physicians for fear that someone would see something.
Is there any possibility that Gregory could have been abused by a nanny?
No.
A relative?
No.
Another child?
No.
For more than a year, the family only saw their child on court-sanctioned visits.
Then, Dr. Cheryl Bryant Bruce took matters into her own hands. In February, during a visit with baby Gregory in Nashville, she told social workers she was going to take him for a walk. Instead, she fled with the baby here to the Atlanta area.
What drove you to do that?
The fear that if I didn't do anything that my child would die in the hands of the state of Tennessee.
She brought baby Gregory to Eggleston Children's Hospital for a crucial battery of tests. Dr. Brian Bruce hoped to show that baby Gregory's condition was caused by his liver disease, a rare disorder known as Alagille syndrome. After the test, the baby was taken back to Tennessee. For the Brian Bruces, it was a heartbreaking moment.
They were snatching him back out of our lives, and I think that has to have been one of the worst moments in my life. The first being the first day they took him from me.
3 months after that interview came a dramatic development in this story. On June 12th, a Tennessee judge gave baby Gregory back to his parents.
Overturning 2 earlier rulings, the judge relied on testimony from doctors at Eggleston Hospital who said baby Gregory's condition was very possibly the result of his liver disease, not abuse.
We want to applaud the judge for making a courageous decision.
John Mayhew is one of the Bryant Bruce's attorneys.
What was the evidence that allowed you to bring this baby home to its parents?
It was twofold. One, this child has a very rare condition called Alagille syndrome that affects 1 out of every 70,000 births. Number 2, this child also had documented bleeding disorders that could cause this child to bleed in its brain and in its eyes. And those conditions existed since birth. And we were able to convince the judge that those conditions were always there.
The Tennessee Department of Human Services issued a statement reacting to the ruling, expressing surprise at the court's decision. It also says the department is considering if any additional legal action is appropriate. Baby Gregory is now living at the Bryant Bruce's Atlanta area home, along with the family's 2 other children.
There was just this overwhelming sense of fulfillment and rightness about it all.
Almost like a dream, come true. Just too enormous to believe. And just waking up the following morning and having him right there in the bed with us was incredible. It was just unbelievable, that it was really true.
But along with the joy, there is also some anger and bitterness over what they've been through.
It's bad enough to wrongfully remove a child, but then to, over a period of 19 months, treat us as if we were common criminals, misfits in this society, was the ultimate slap in the face.
What has this 19 months done to your family?
It's been a roller coaster. We've been probably through every emotion imaginable to man and then created a few of our own.
Or, it brought us to the point where we couldn't even touch because, my touch wasn't what my wife required. She wanted to be with Gregory, and I understood that.
The Bryant Bruces say they've paid a high price, but that the one who has suffered the most in this case has been baby Gregory himself.
Gregory paid the biggest price. We hurt, but we had each other. Gregory was out there all by his little, tiny, lonesome self.
Baby Gregory's best hope for the future is a liver transplant. But sadly, that's not an option right now because his physical development has been so dramatically slowed by his disease. Gregory's long-term prognosis remains uncertain. One final note, Vanderbilt University Hospital, which first raised the issue of abuse in this case, stands by its original diagnosis.